Hello and welcome to our live show here on MX Live TV. It's round 9 of the FIM Motocross World Championship, MX1 and MX2. And we're on the podium, which is right in the middle of the skybox, actually overlooking the run into the first corner. And I think you'll agree it's quite an impressive sight. We're going to have 3 guests today, the first of which is going to be the Monster Energy Yamaha rider Mel Pocock, an MX2 rider. Then we've got Max Nagl from Honda World Motocross and Eric Geboers from Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1, the team manager. But as is always the case on Sunday, time is a little bit short, especially for the MX2 riders who join us here in the live studio. So we'll crack on with Mel Pocock. Mel, we'll talk about this weekend in a moment, but let's take you back. Last year, European 250 champion, big moment in your career. I guess one of the happiest days in your life. How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, happiest day of my life, and also most funnest year racing I've had on a bike. To be at a place like these World GPs and being on a podium like this in front of all the people and winning races like that was just so cool. I mean, I'll never forget it. It was a good achievement and brought me a lot of confidence. So yeah, I was happy.
And you won a lot of races last year as well, so that must have also gained you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, coming into Europeans, I didn't have a clue who I was going to be up against. It was kind of a decision between Steve and the team, and yeah, it was really good. Happy we made that decision and managed to come out with the gold plate. And
in terms of, you rode the European Championship last year, but you also rode some rounds as a wild card. How much has that helped you gain experience, you know, in terms of your full move up to MX2 this year?
It's helped me massively. I think as a young rider coming up through, I've carved a new pattern for some riders to come and try and follow what we did. I had 4 wildcard GP races and a full European season, so it kind of fits in really nicely. And the races that what we went to wasn't too far away, so it's kind of feasible to be doing that. Yeah, as a GPs, I outdone myself. I didn't think I was going to come back with a few top 10 results. Kind of went in there with an open mind and wasn't really prepared for a GP. I was prepared for a European, so to come back with a few top 10 results and then go into the Europeans with a really confident myself. Yeah, just happy to race.
We're just looking at some images now from last round in Faenza.
Yeah.
You were leading the first race and then fell, and then you know, it was one of those weekends, wasn't it? You know, the track conditions were pretty heavy. It was heavily watered. But you had the support of the whole team. I think this is you either winning the race or just winning the the championship itself. Yeah. As we said, big moment, big relief off your shoulders as well.
I was pumped right there. Well happy. That first race actually I had to deal with a rear brake failure.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it on the side of a hill like that. And first race I was out there leading and the rear brake failed on me and I couldn't believe it. I just had to kind of nurse my way home on my championship winning race. It was
then the gold plate.
Yeah.
And that's at home. Where is that?
That's in the kitchen. I see it every morning.
It's a nice reminder.
Yeah.
Well, moving on then. You know, before this weekend, you're 11th in the championship.
Yep.
Is that pretty much where you expected to be at this stage of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I want to be top 10 in championship and banging in a few top 6 results. I'd love to be obviously further up in the championship, but I'm coming through steadily and yeah, dealing with the long races and obviously like the different weather conditions. Like out in Thailand, it wasn't really suited for me. It was so hot. Here is really hot again, and but yeah, I'm happy with what's been going on. Last weekend I got an injured ankle in I managed to have a crash, get cross-righted and put my foot straight into the ground and kind of compress my heel into the bottom of my foot. So last weekend I only picked up a few points, and this weekend it's eased off a little bit on the pain and managed to get an 8th in that first moto. So I'm happy with that.
And that makes it 6 races inside the top 10. You best finish a 5th in Brazil.
Yeah.
Again, a boost in confidence.
Yeah.
After being up and down.
Yeah, definitely. I really liked that track in Brazil. It was good fun. There was a lot of grip there and kind of suited the way I was riding. So yeah, similar here. I mean, the track's tacky. It's got some deep ruts and I'm glad they're grading out a few gnarly sections right now.
What do you notice as well from riding Europeans to MX2 Grand Prix racing? Difference in fitness levels? Have you had to step up your training this winter? And are you still training with Tommy?
Yeah, I'm still training with Tommy, and with Kirk, he's a little bit of a godsend for me. We've all upped the training this year. I mean, Tommy's had to up the training for the MX1 bike. I've had to up the training for dealing with the 40-minute motos in the World Championship, and Kirk's been there every minute of the way and helping us get fitter and dealing with our little injuries, our crashes, our ups and downs. So he's been really good. Yeah.
First time here in Majura. Guess you've heard a lot about the track, as has everybody here.
Yeah.
First time for MX1, MX2, because obviously a new era now, so pretty much everyone would never have ridden here before,
No.
maybe apart from a few Italians if they had the chance to practice in advance. But what are your feelings of the track? What do you think? What did you think when you first arrived, and what's it like to race?
I mean, I researched the track before I come here. I had watched it on YouTube and that, and I obviously seen there were some big hills here. I spoke to Steve, and he's been everywhere in the world, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's a great setting for the GP. I definitely think it was a good decision coming here. It's made for some good racing. I mean, it's not one line like a few tracks we've been to this year have been one lined, and here there's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 lines in some corners. So yeah, it's made for some good racing.
Still need to get a good start though.
Oh yeah, you need to get a good start. Same as everywhere now these days.
Yeah. Before we let you go, 2 more questions. One, what do you expect for the rest of the season?
The rest of the season, I definitely want to get a few top 6 overall. Be running up in the front. I can run up there for a while and be with them guys. And so, yeah, I need to carry on doing that and put myself in the top 10 of the championship.
All right, we've got a couple of questions for you from Twitter. We've got @Mikey Hilligan. So speak to the camera here when you address Mikey. How's your season been so far?
In all, I've been happy with the season. I managed to get away with a few big crashes and been pretty solid. So, yeah, I'm happy with the way it's going, and would like to finish it on a strong.
And also one from Gian Maria Colombo. Mel, do you miss European motocross and wins especially?
Yeah, of course I do. I mean, I'll tell you what was really nice of Europeans. It was the 25-minute races. That's a little godsend there. So nice. Yeah, I mean, I do miss the podiums and I do miss the wins, so I've just got to take my time, and we'll be back here doing that in the European and MX2. So.
All right, well, look, I know time is pretty important to you.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting ready for your second race in about 30 minutes' time. So I'm going to let you go. Monster Energy Yamaha rider Mel Pocock getting ready for his second MX2 race. Thanks for joining us here on MX Live TV this afternoon.
Thank you.
No problem. Right, we're going to move on, and as you can see all around us, the atmosphere is starting to build here at the circuit. We're getting ready to bring in our next guests, and of course that's going to be Eric Geboers from Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1, and the Honda World Motocross rider Max Nagl, who's just had a first race in MX1, and we'll get to him first actually, so we'll just let him take his seat. And let's hear from the man himself, Max Nagl. Before we talk about today, start of the season, I know we're 9 rounds in now, but start of the year, new bike, new team. How difficult was it, or has it been, settling in, to the new family where you are now at Honda World Motocross?
To get in the team, it wasn't so difficult, because from the first day on, I was feeling really comfortable in the team, really nice. It was a little bit more difficult to adapt to the bike, because I've been on KTM for 10 years, and then change the bike is always difficult. I've done a lot of testing, and still now we are busy with trying to get it better made for myself, for my riding. But we improve almost every week, like a little step. So it's going in the good direction.
It was a tough start for you, wasn't it? Especially with Qatar and Thailand. Just explain really briefly the problems that you faced there.
In Qatar, I got like food poisoning, and I could not race in Thailand, and it takes a while before it's out of your body. So until now, it was quite difficult actually.
But then since then, you've had what now 10 times inside the top 10. Guess you feel you're moving in the right direction?
Yes, sure. The riding is going really well. The problem I still have, or we have, is the starts. Yesterday I was last on the start. Today, the first heat, I was almost last on the start. And I always have to fight through all the people before I'm with the first guys. And that makes the life so much more difficult for me, and we have to improve it.
So what did you change differently on the bike then? Because in Brazil you were pulling whole shots, you know, in the qualifying race, and of course you got a third in Italy at Arco di Trento as well. So can you tell us what you may have changed or not?
We have changed quite a lot on the bike. What it makes it much better for riding. I expected also better for the starts, but for the moment it's not a good way. I don't know, we changed again something this weekend to make it better for the starts, but it doesn't work. We still have to work on it.
Getting that third place finish in Italy must have been a huge relief for you, especially riding for the new team.
Yeah, of course, was the first good result, and it was great. Also Brazil have been going really good the first heat, and also Saturday.
Portugal and Brazil had two good results there, second in the first moto in Brazil. Although you just missed the overall podium, what was the atmosphere like there? Because it was heavily backed by Honda, wasn't it? A lot of Honda support, and you had your own special Honda garages. Must have been like a home GP for you almost.
Almost, yeah. I mean, the crowd anyway is totally different. Yeah, it's like in a football stadium, and it's really nice to ride there. Yeah, it's like a Honda GP, so it was really nice to ride there.
And what about the GP of France last week? How was that for you?
The riding...
You seem to have a really good, interesting battle with Tommy Searle in the first race. You know, you're both coming through the field, both riding, I think, both rode pretty aggressively, but smart and safe at the same time. Would you agree?
Yes, many people were coming to me after the race, or after the weekend, talked to me like, "Oh, that was a great battle. We never seen something like this for a long time." Yeah. So for the spectators, for sure, was amazing to see. I mean, for the riders, it was difficult. Tommy was quite aggressive, but it was still, everything was fair, so it was fine, and the riding was going well, yeah.
And of course that was after the Brazilian Grand Prix, so you know, when you had such a strong ride, although you only finished like 7th or 8th in that first moto, the second race got a good start, and then everybody seemed to turn left instead of right in Ernée, and you got caught out in that. Must have been pretty frustrating for you.
Yes, it was. I got you cannot see directly on the TV what happened exactly, but the feeling I had, I got pushed from the back from somebody, and then I touched the back wheel from Tony, and then we just all falling off the bike. Really disappointed.
I could see the reaction from your face. You just literally picked yourself up, shook your head, and you know then, especially around Ernée, it's going to be a tough race.
Yeah, and if you know your riding is going good in that weekend, and you already had a bad start in the first heat, and then second heat happened the same again, then you know already, okay, you cannot make a good result anymore, because if you start last in the first lap, it's so difficult to go through the field, and then you're so disappointed in the first moment, and until you have done some few laps, and then you're good again.
We just talked about your starts a minute ago, how you said, you know, there's something missing at the moment in terms of, you know, getting your whole shot or getting you close to the front, but coming through the field, you seem to have the bike working okay. It's strong enough on the track, but you're just having to lose too much energy, aren't you? Even though the bike is then strong enough to go from last place inside the top 10. Yes,
I mean, it's a good practice, of course, and gives a lot of experience if you always need to go through the field. But it could make the life much more easier for myself if I would be with the good guys immediately from the first lap on, and not always from the back. But like I said, we have to find something.
But overall, you're happy with the bike. I guess you're still looking to improve it at this early stage in the championship, even though now we're halfway. But from your side, with it being a new bike, new team, with the Grand Prix so close together now, there's not so much time to test I guess on a really serious basis, like 2, 3, 4 days in a row or something.
Yeah, that's true. For the riding, the bike is awesome. I really like it. Everything is good. There's nothing to say. Honda's a really nice bike. It's just the start what we need to improve, but that's more or less like a setup. You know what you need to find? You need to find your good setup, and that's what we're gonna do the next week. Still difficult, like you say, because every weekend we have a race, almost every weekend like a GP. So it's difficult to make that testing now.
And how was the first race here? How's your weekend been in Maggiora so far? You like the track?
Yes, it's a really nice track with like a natural track, like it was before almost, with steep up and down hills, some nice turns. They do a good job with the watering, and now they also fix some parts on the track was necessary, because some places have been really dangerous with deep ruts. But they do a great job here, and I think the second motor going to be really nice to ride again.
Obviously, they're putting a little bit of water down now for MX2, so I guess the track conditions should be perfect for MX1. That's the advantage, having the last race of the day.
Yes, of course. It's a little bit difficult the first few laps, also in the first heat from us, because they have to put water. It's normal.
Yeah.
But in some places it's pretty hard, so it's like ice. So you need to be careful the first few laps, and then it's getting faster and faster the track, and then it's cool.
Were you happy with the performance in race 1?
With what?
With the performance in race 1?
Yes, I am. Was coming again from the back, but then finishing 6th place is okay.
Yeah. Okay, we have a question at Marta, I think it is, from Twitter. Max, do you think German MXGP can bring more noise in terms of fans? I guess she means, you know, do you think the atmosphere in a German Grand Prix can be better and more noisy, especially for you guys?
Oh, normally when we have our home GP, it's always great. Like Deutschenthal, they've been always crazy, the spectators, and was so nice. And Lausitz this year, I don't know how close the people can go to the track, because it's like on a road racing track. In Deutschenthal, they've been just 2 meters next to the track. Was really nice. I don't know how it's going to be with this GP.
A little bit like here then, because the fans are hanging over the fence now, aren't they? Here?
Yeah, they're so close to the track. Gives the rider like nice feeling, because you can hear all the people when they're cheering for you, and makes it so nice.
Okay, well look, I'm going to let Max Nagl disappear, and we'll introduce our third and final guest. So Max, thanks for joining us here on our MX Live TV studio, and all the best for the second race.
Thank you.
And of course for the rest of the season. Max Nagl, everybody. Right, Eric Geboers is my third and final guest, team manager for Rockstar Energy Suzuki World MX1, and no stranger to this place. How are you? Good to be back. Pleased to be back here in Maggiora.
Very pleased. We have so nice memories here on this track. In the 80s, this was one of the most successful tracks in Italy. Always big crowd coming here. And I was a little bit afraid of how we're going to find this track back, because I haven't heard about it since 10 years. But the job they did here is amazing. It's even much better than how it was already.
Well, we have some images now on screen from the Motocross of the Nations 1986. Of course, you rode a 250 HRC factory bike on that occasion. What was that experience like back then? Obviously, I read somewhere that for this particular race, I mean, you rode here anyway on a regular basis as training. I don't know if that was just with the team, or Team Belgium or Team HRC. But you also said that the heat was also a problem here.
Yeah, of course. This side of the country, and in summertime it gets really hot. We're not so close to the ocean, and really in between the mountains, so it can get really hot. And we, as from Belgium, we are not really used to that.
No. Again, look, we're 1986 Motocross of the Nations. The atmosphere completely different back then, wasn't it? 27 years ago, the start procedure was completely different. 2-row start then, I believe, for this one.
Yes, because one of the riders, of the team riders, had to go on a second row.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise we couldn't get everybody on the start grid.
So that explains that picture.
Yeah, that explains a lot, yes. But mainly layout of this track is the same.
Yeah, just the last part, isn't it? The last step down before they come back to pit lane, there were a few more loops, and behind the start line area was a little bit different, and the run also onto the start straight.
Yeah, but that's improved. You know, it's correct. There's a change, but it's an improvement.
Yeah, because it was a little bit twisty and it was unnecessary, wasn't it?
You know as well that the last years motocross, especially the construction of the racetracks, has been changed. You know, there's a lot of more handmade obstacles in there to make it more spectacular, make more jumps. And you know, the combination of that here on such a great environment is, and the public. You not forget the public, how enthusiastic they can be, because they make it nice.
They were enthusiastic then, and they certainly turned up in their tens of thousands today, certainly adding to the atmosphere and I guess the nostalgia, what we had then, and adding to it now. You know.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, there are two countries which are always so enthusiastic, is the France and the Italians. They can go so, let's say wild, but so enthusiastic for their fans or for their riders, and I think that's great.
Of course, the main talking point of that race in 1986 since then has been the American Dream Team, David Bailey, Rick Johnson, Johnny O'Mara. What are your recollections of the event itself, having to ride for Belgium on a 250?
But that was not such a big issue, because normally when it was Motocross the Nation, and also maybe that's the reason why I never won a Motocross the Nation, is I always sacrificed myself to take the open space, which if I had a good 500 rider and a good 125 rider, okay, then I'll take a 125.
Yeah.
And even they could put me on the second row, but I was okay with that. But the most impressive maneuver what was held there was you can see in the back start here the long uphill after the start.
Yeah.
There was Johnny O'Mara. He passed David Thorpe on his 500,
and O'Mara was on a 125.
And O'Mara was on a 125. I think that's the most spoken thing from that week.
And that was probably one of the talking points, wasn't it? You know, 125 beating a 500 at that time, and obviously you and Thorpe had a big rivalry then as well, so you probably didn't mind a bit that happened. Probably played into your hands.
No, I didn't even think the consequences of that, but it was just you know, that's adrenaline that comes straight in your blood if you see things like that happening.
Well, skip forward 27 years. We're here. We've just had MX1 Race 1.
We're older.
Yeah, we're all a little bit older, me included. But MX1 Race 1, a great victory for Clément de Sal. Looked like he was on a training run. Okay, Tony was leading. He fell. He made a silly mistake. But Clément looks really comfortable out there.
Yeah, he looked really good this race, I must say. But we all know that Clément can be such a nice and smooth rider and go fast without struggling with the bike, but he doesn't always find the right momentum to do that. But today it was very obviously that he felt in a really good position and in a good mood.
Clearly the heat hasn't affected him, but what about Kevin? He was 7th in Moto number 1. Kevin Strybos, the teammate to Clément de Sal. He had a good start, but just lost a few places. You obviously spoke to him since then, or have you?
No, but I cannot say that on TV, but he was struggling with something. And
okay. But I wasn't sure if it was just, you know, middle of the race, maybe made a small mistake or something and was struggling with himself or something like that.
I think he put his clothes on a little bit too fast just before the race.
Okay.
That was something wrong.
So he suffered with the heat a little bit, maybe. Forgot the ice vest. I mean, do they like the track as well? Again, we all know the history of the place. I raced here in '97 in a 125 GP, but for these guys, it's the first time. They like it?
Yeah, but I don't think there is anybody who can, if you have a chance to do one lap here, to not like it. This is impossible.
I did 3 laps on Friday.
Then you liked it three times.
I liked it for 3 laps this weekend already. We're just seeing images of the MX2 guys down on the start line just below us getting ready for their second race. But obviously a couple of weeks ago, your guys, after the Brazilian Grand Prix, headed out to the US, do a couple of outdoor nationals. What was the experience like? Did you go, or was it just the riders and the mechanics?
No, I went before them because I didn't go to Brazil and catch the riders up when they came directly from Brazil to California. Of course, the calendar was changed when Mexico was pulled off the calendar, so we were already quite far to that direction, and both riders had some interest to do a national in the US, and it was their interest, but also I believe that it's good to go and have a look how it goes there, because I know in the US, you know, there's this one day formula races, it goes like boom, 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 and it goes so fast, and that's quite, you need to get used to that.
And that is that's quite a talking point anyway, isn't it? Because I'm glad you bring me to that. Next week, or this weekend certainly, there's been a lot of meetings, as there has been since Qatar, Thailand, you know, between the industry, the FIM with Youthstream, talking about the possibility of changes for 2014 and beyond. We've heard things from Giuseppe Luongo about the potential to, in a couple of years, reduce the engine capacity for 450 to make it easier for everybody to ride the big bike in MX1. There'll be a name change, MXGP. They were talking about a super final.
That's a good one.
Yeah, they were talking about the super final as well. You know, is this going to happen or not, or one race with it? There's a lot of things. What else? What other proposals are you and Honda and Yamaha, Kawasaki, KTM, you know, putting on the table to help the discussions so that soon we can have some direction into how the World Championship from 2014 is going to look?
One thing is sure, that any Japanese manufacturer is willing to step away from the 450 4-stroke. There is interested to do something with two-stroke, of course. But having thought about or heard that maybe we're going to do a one-day event instead of the 2 days event as we have now, I was a little bit skeptic about it because, you know, camping place and all that. But then we did 2 races in Colorado and Tennessee, and you wake up an hour earlier and you go to sunset and it's done. Everything is over. If you come back to here, then you go back to the 2-day formula, then you're kind of,
It's a long weekend.
It's a long weekend, and maybe we need to think about that, because people, we cannot take a long weekend from all the crowd. It might be easier for big families or big crowds to make themselves available for one good racing day, and it will also cost less for the teams, also for the organization. So I see quite good things in that.
And obviously it's nice for you to go, you know, like I say, to other races, the US in this instance, to sample that for yourself, to see actually, is this something that could be brought to the table?
Yeah, but Paul, that's just why it is necessary for us to go and have a look there.
Yeah.
Because of course you see things which don't make sense.
Yeah.
But there are other things where you have to say, Jesus, why didn't we think about it?
Yeah.
And probably it will be vice versa. If they would come over here, I think with everybody's good ideas, we can make the perfect formula.
Okay. But when are the final meetings supposed to be taking place? Or are they still ongoing? Or have you had the final meetings and now there's just going to be a little time for everybody to think and make a decision?
You know how it goes. There is a meeting has passed just now, and start some backdoor lobbying everywhere, left and right. And then, of course, the final decision will be made at the FIM in Geneva. And I don't know exactly the date, because I thought this has been postponed also. But of course, everybody, we as team, riders as well, fans, everybody would like to know it as soon as possible. That we don't start changing things overnight, because that's the worst thing what can happen.
Obviously with Kevin Strybos and Clément Desalle racing on that format, what was their reaction? What was their feeling, you know, about arriving and just doing everything in a day? Obviously a strange experience, doing so much in a short space of time.
I warned them, as I said, you know, be ready for one, because you have a 12-minute practice, and in that 12-minute practice you have to put your best lap time out.
Yeah.
And then you have a second practice as well. But all the things you have to do in between, it goes so fast. And that was the first reaction also when after the first race in Colorado, they said like, what, whew, this goes quick.
Yeah.
The day flies by, but you have to really run from the paddock, you know, to the pit lane, and everything needs to be better prepared. There's no time in the day to start changing your goggles from roll-off to tear-offs, you know, they all have to be done in advance.
Well, that's the thing, we're kind of spoiled over here, aren't we? You know, 2 45-minute practices, a pre-practice, a pre-qualifying, and then a qualifying race, and then, you know, you have a long time to learn the tracks, but going there, they just literally had to learn everything. You know, okay, they went to Denver before for the Nations, but the second race they went to, a new circuit altogether for them, I guess.
Yeah, I think especially those long trainings, they make the riders go slow, because they can start cruising around, and that's absolute impossible to do a cruising lap in the US, because then you will not make it.
No. Okay, well, I think we're pretty much out of time here in Maggiora. It's great to be back here, and Eric Geboers just reminiscing with us earlier on in the program about 1986 and the times that we've had here and everything else, all of us, you know, from my generation, your generation, and there's a new era here this weekend in Maggiora. They get to experience it for themselves for the first time. So thanks, Eric, for joining us here on the live show again, and of course thanks to Max Nagl, Honda World Motocross, and of course Mel Pocock from Monster Energy Yamaha. We're getting ready to go back down to our commentary position to witness MX2 Race 2, and after that it'll be MX1 Race 2. So join us on MX Live TV, as always, for the concluding part of this Italian Grand Prix.